Number 4 on our list of most creative bookers is the man who many people felt could have been the guy to take down Vince McMahon in the 1980s if only he had the financial backing and was able to go toe-to-toe with the Titan juggernaut. His mind for wrestling was just that good. Your number 4 most creative booker is Bill Watts.
I could definitely see Bill Watts at number 4.
Yeah, he's awesome. But just from that time.
Bill Watts belongs on the list. Bill Watts was a disciple of Eddie Graham, so yeah, Bill belongs on the list of iconic bookers, sure.
He's like a fine wine in my mind because, you know, you may not appreciate it when it's first bottled. But the older it gets better and better, and the nuances of it come through better and better and more pronounced.
He always kept reality as part, you know, he was into the things being credible and, you know, the work being solid. And he just, I thought he was, like, going by his shows that he did, like UWF, and I never worked for him then, in Mid-South, like those shows were great episodic television.
Bill Watts made some of the most episodic television. You know, even to, you know, I remember being a kid, you know, and I was a wrestling addict. And I would scan my TV station, you know, back, you know, even when you had to turn dials and stuff like that, I would scan the channels for pro wrestling. You know, I knew WWF was, you know, at one time, then it was WWF on the other channel, and then, oh my God, we got NWA. But then I was like, what's this? You know, I even watched wrestling from Hawaii. That's how hooked I was. But then one time I saw on this UHF channel from New Jersey, you know, UWF. I was like, what's this?
A guy that truly from the territory era, you know, that thrived in the territories. So that's kind of what I remember of Bill Watts the most, was just how he thrived and how everything he surrounded and was around him in wrestling thrived at that time.
He developed a lot of talent in his day back in those territories, a lot of top talent. From Junkyard Dogs to, I mean, just the list goes on and on. So I don't know if how he was as a booker, I went around personally, but if the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
I used to hear Bill Watts, like everybody in the dressing room, oh, this is Bill just running his mouth again, yelling and screaming. I wasn't turned off by Bill's yelling and screaming as a kid in the business. I was intimidated by it, like anybody, because he was your boss, and you knew that he could fire your ass at any time, and you know, probably punch you in the mouth at the time he was doing it. But the attitude in the dressing room was, oh, it's just Bill bitching again or whatever. He's just bitter because he didn't make the money. And there were all these little, you know, whispers around the dressing room. But the older I get and the more I've seen in the business and where I sit now as a 34-year veteran, damned if he wasn't spot on right about all the things he said.
You obviously never worked with Bill or for him. I met him a few times. I know his son real well. And worked with his son a lot in early TNA days. Met Bill a couple times. Again, a lot of respect for what he was able to accomplish.
Bill Watts' strength was being able to tell a story and paying attention to detail, and being able to articulate exactly what he wanted to the talent and then get everything out of them.
At the time that he had to sell to Crockett, he was working his ass off to find the funding to try to go national with UWF. You know, you can always ask about the what ifs, but what if he had found somebody with equal, like say a Ted Turner, for instance, at that point? Because if you go back and watch, to me, from my taste in wrestling, the UWF wrestling show was pretty damn compelling and entertaining to watch. It was great wrestling. The heels were black hats, the baby faces were white hats, and you could never quite guess where the storyline was going. That to me is the vast portion of the best parts of a great wrestling show, storyline, match.
And now, you know, especially with a lot of the DVDs coming out now, with you see some of the booking back in the day and how believable it was. And if something was happening, he would tell you the story of the psychology of why somebody would think this or do that. And It was brilliant. It was ahead of its time, and maybe if he had, some of, whatever Vince had, the mojo Vince had, maybe he probably could have took a national.
Bill Watts was, I think, half a day late and half a dime short. That had he had the money, and had he been able to recognize at the time that Vince McMahon was moving national and snagging up all this talent, I think that because Bill had much more respect among the wrestlers, he would have been able to keep, say, the Junkyard Dogs and the Jake Robertses and the Hacksaw Jim Duggans and the Ted DiBiase's there.
As a booker, yeah, he was phenomenal. Yeah, number 4, yeah, maybe even number 3. And again, I'm reserving this, to see who's the top 3, but Bill Watts was awesome.
Another one of the Bill Watts mantras was, we ain't curing cancer and we're not splitting the atom. Black hat, white hat, that's wrestling. If you apply that today and you see how bad the product is today, that's the fans, what I'm hearing from 100% of the fans on the road, not my opinion, although I happen to agree with it. Apply that, black hat, white hat, and see how ill-fitting that is today, how that just doesn't fit to the business today.
A lot of people talk about Bill Watts and his style, and I had the pleasure of getting to know Jim Ross, and Jim Ross will always tell you Bill he will tout his wares. For me, the telltale sign is that during Bill Watts' heyday in the Mid-South, it was a racially divided territory, black and white. So Bill Watts would put guys like Ernie Ladd and the Junkyard Dog on top. And people were like, what are you doing? What's wrong? Well, why would you do that? Bill Watts knew that the first 6 rows were going to be all them white hicks waiting for that boy to get his ass whooped. And the rest of the arena that got paid on Friday are going to be that boy's boys waiting for that boy to whoop the white man.
Bill was a parrot. He just returned everything that Eddie Graham ever told him. He went into Louisiana and used the black babyface on top. It was 80% black in Louisiana. Yeah, okay. Enough said.